Hey, what's going on everybody? It's KB here, and today I'm going to be showing you the best settings for OBS Studio. If you have ever used the OBS Studio and you saw that OBS is using too much CPU and making your PC lag or gameplay lag, so there is a way to fix that, and maybe you didn't knew about this and you uninstalled the OBS because a lot of CPU usage. So I will try my best to give you the best example of best settings for your OBS Studio. So actually I'm going to share my own the best setting with you. So if you are new to OBS, this will be a really helpful tutorial. So let's first start with the doing some settings. Okay, so open up the setting of OBS like that, and first thing we need to configure is video section. Okay, go to video section, and there you will see base canvas resolution and output scale resolution. Make sure that these two resolutions matches to each other. If they don't match, your PC has to convert them. Like for example, my base resolution is 1080p and I select the output 720p, and it has to actually convert like from 1080p to 720p, so it will use more CPU and RAM. So that's why make sure that you have a same base canvas resolution and the output. Let's say if you have a 1080p display but you want to record it at 720p, you can select the base canvas 720p. You don't have to select 1080p because you can resize the windows and everything. So make sure that you select canvas and output resolution same. That is the first tip. And second, the common FPS value. So higher FPS means higher CPU usage, lower FPS means lower CPU usage. So it will also depend on what you're recording. If you're recording 60 FPS gameplay, then go with the 60. But if you're just recording the desktop, set it 30. It's normal. So I'm just gonna set for 30. I'm gonna give you the best settings anyway. So now you can hit apply and make sure that these two resolution matches to each other. Okay, now let's move on to the next step, which is output. Okay, and in output you will see simple mode. Output mode simple. You have to go into the advanced, so you can do more settings and make OBS use less CPU. Okay, and we will talk about the streaming later. First, let's just talk about the recording. Okay, go into the recording tab, and after that you will see type, select standard, and output, it depends on you where you want to save the recordings. Recording format, it also depends on you. I record my videos on MOV. If you want to, you can record in MP4, AVI, so it's personal thing. So I just select the MOV. And audio track, it is also depends on you. If you want to record a gameplay sound and a mic sound in different tracks, then you can have it 2 tracks. Now this is the very important setting you have to do. This is encoder. Okay, you can see right now I have selected the NVENC. This is a Nvidia graphic cards encoder. This encoder will pop up only if you have a GTX graphics, Nvidia graphics. So default, your encoder should be at X264, which is a default encoder, software encoder. So let me give you an example what happens when you select this encoder in the OBS. So I'm gonna set the bitrate around 30,000, which is my default bitrate if I want to record in actual, and I'm gonna leave everything as it is default. Okay, I'm gonna hit apply and hit OK, and now let's start recording, and you'll see the crazy thing happens when you record with the X264 encoder. Okay, I'm gonna hit on start, and now look at the CPU usage of how much CPU it's using, the OBS using when I'm recording with the X264 encoder. 35% normal, nothing is moving, nothing is happening, and it is using around 40% of CPU. Okay, if I do movement, it will go above 50. So it's crazy, right? So default encoder or default setting of the OBS is not the best setting. So you got the idea. Never choose X264 encoder if you really want to record smoothly your desktop or gameplay, or you are doing a streaming. So make sure that you do not select that. Okay. Go into the settings again and go to the output recording, and if you have an option, select the NVENC. I don't know nothing about the AMD. I never used the AMD, but if you have an AMD graphic card, then it should say something about the AMD something. So it is same AMD and Nvidia. So for Nvidia users, you have to select that, and 30,000. It's also a bitrate is also personal thing. I recommend if you're recording 1080p video, then I recommend 15,000 to 30,000 bitrate. So I have set the 30,000 and hit apply. Okay, and this is the best setting you can do in OBS Studio, only if you have a Nvidia graphic card. So let me start recording, and you can see CPU usage is like so low, 13%. I'm also recording this video, so maybe that's why it is using a higher CPU, but you can see here it goes like in still image it will be under 10%. Even if you're recording gameplay, it will not go above 20%. That is like huge deal. If you select the X264 encoder, it will use more than 50% of CPU. So here is the proof that Nvidia encoder is way better than the default encoder, and this is the best setting you can do in OBS. So that's it. I'm gonna stop it. You just saw that, right? So CPU usage is really low. Low CPU usage means your PC will run faster, smoother, and you will also get the quality video from the OBS. Now let's go into the settings one more time. This is only for those guys who doesn't have a graphic card. Okay, in encoder you can also use the quick sync encoder. You can select that, and this is a Intel's encoder. It will also use less CPU, but there is a small problem. Sometimes it gives you a problem in the video quality might not be that good, maybe some jittery effect or something like that, maybe blank screen, maybe green screen, something like that. So it's not recommended. Maybe it didn't work for me, never worked for me, but if it works for you, you can try. I'm gonna apply and hit OK, and I'm gonna record, and you'll see it also uses the really low CPU. As you can see here, around 10% of CPU in still image. Even if you do the gameplay recording, it should also use less than 20%. So that is the best setting if you don't have a external graphic card like Nvidia graphic card or something like that. So I'm gonna stop, and that's it. Let me go into the settings one more time, and I'm gonna change my encoder to default. So this is my default setting. If you want to copy anything, you can copy, encoder NVENC default, and I leave everything default. So that's how I record my gameplay and everything, whatever I do. And in streaming option, same thing. If you want OBS to use less CPU, you should select the NVENC, and it's same for recording and streaming. And bitrate, it depends on your internet speed. So mine is 25 megabits per second, so I can select my bitrate to 2500, or sometimes I go 2000 only. So that is the recommended setting for me. If you have a 50 megabits per second, you can go 5000, but don't go too crazy. Make it little less. Like if you have a 50 megabits per second, make it 35, 45, 40. So yeah, that's how it works. And that's it, boys and girls. And this is the best setting you can get for the OBS Studio. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, leave a like, comment, and subscribe. And if you don't have a OBS, in any case, if you don't have the OBS Studio, I will put a link in the description. You can go there and get this. And this is an absolutely free program to record your desktop gameplay, or even you can do the streaming to YouTube, Twitch, Facebook, wherever you want to stream. So this is like 100% free software. So yeah, that's it. I will see you in the next one. Take care of yourself and have fun. Bye bye.